It's a wonderful Friday morning, and you are welcome once again to our STEM series. And good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on where you are joining us from in the world. My name is Freelance Jobs, and I am the Director of Mobile Web Ghana. I will be your moderator for today, and I am moderating this session from the American Spaces at Agbogba. So the American Corner Agbogba provides access to current and reliable information about the United States through books, book collection, internet access, and other activities for everyone. So we are located around North Legon, Antis. You can find us on the map online, and you can join us for all other activities. Today, we are going to discuss a very important topic, a topic that I'm most passionate about, a topic that I think that will help people to economically break through in this modern world. And the topic is technological tools for remote working in today's world. Facilitating this session is Billings John Turner, a digital strategist CEO of Oracle Digital Limited. And I've known Billings for a very long time, way back from when he was into recruitment and doing amazing things with recruitment, social media. And I'm very privileged today that he's going to give us tips, tricks, how we can find remote works online to economically empower ourselves. Billings is an expert in digital marketing and e-business with over 10 years of industry experience, spanning from corporate Ghana, startup, and an impressive stint at global freelancing, having worked with businesses across industries and continents, predominantly in the US, EU, Africa, and Asia. He has built and grown a fashion startup from scratch into a six-figure revenue-generating brand in 2 years, using purely digital marketing. This is somebody who is not just talking, but he is walking the talk and doing it and coming to share his experience with us for absolutely free during this session. Please type all your comments, your questions in the comment box below, and it will be addressed. Thank you for staying tuned, and I hope that this session will really be an eye-opener for you. Get your pens, papers, laptops, phones ready to really put down some tips that you don't understand. Type in the chat box. Let's make it more interactive, because this session is all about you, how you can get a job, freelance job online to do. And having done that, I'm handing over to our expert Billings to start the presentation and take us through what he has for us today. I personally can't wait to jump onto a freelance job and start doing with my busy life. I really want to add more to it. Over to you, Billings.
Yeah, thank you, Florence. Always a pleasure sharing the same platform with you. And thank you once again for the very generous introduction. And welcome to anyone watching from any part of the world. Happy to share this platform with all of you. And hopefully by the end of this session, there'll be one or two takeaways that you can use to empower yourselves in terms of, earning multiple income sources apart from your regular jobs. So I'll go ahead to share my screen, and then we can dive straight into action.
Yes, so whilst Billings is sharing his screen, please let us know where you are joining us from. Type it in the chat box what your expectations are for this session. Let's hear about you, and then we keep the conversation going.
Okay, so can I start?
Yes, please go ahead and start.
Okay, so in this session, we are going to look at online freelancing, or remote working, as some people call it. And then we also delve into the tools that you need to equip yourself for you to be able to participate in this $1.2 billion industry. Okay, but before we go into that, we will look at a general introduction into what freelancing is, what remote working is, are they the same? And then we look at general trends globally. How big is the freelance industry? Okay, how much money is actually changing hands between freelancers and also business owners, and who are the biggest winners across the world? Which countries are making the biggest wins? how is Africa participating? Are we making a mark in the freelance and remote working industry? And we will go ahead to look at what kind of jobs are, in very high demand online, and which ones can you participate in if you want to delve into right now. And then we also look at the platforms that you can start your freelance career. And then we look at the tools that you need to be able to participate in this freelance industry. And then most importantly, we look at, after you've gotten your first gig and you get paid, how do you get your money right into your bank account right here in Ghana? So we are going to cover all that in this session. So the question that we normally ask is, what is online freelancing, or what is freelancing? Okay, so freelancing is a type of self-employment. So basically, instead of working for a company, you decide to set up on your own and decide to deliver services, to very specific services to companies or to other people, other freelancers in any part of the world. So basically, that's what freelancing is about. So with freelancing, clients normally pay per project or per task or per hour. So there's always a clear project proposal, and these are normally short term. And the type of tasks that you do are normally very one-off tasks that you do. They are not continuous, or they are not long-term projects. And once the task is completed or the project is completed, within the duration that the task has been assigned, and then you get paid, and then everybody goes their way. So there is no long-term contracts that are signed, and there's no obligation on the part of the client to pay any other remuneration in terms of your taxes. The freelancer basically have to pay your own taxes in any country, whichever country that you work for. So if you are computing your prices to your clients, you would have to take into consideration all these things, because these are just short-term gigs that you perform, and then you get paid for it. And then remote work. So remote work basically is what most people term as work from home. So it is work that you do away from your desk at an office space. So whichever part of the world you are, whether you are at home, whether you are at the beach, or whether you are at the mall, or wherever you are, once you can work from that distance or that location or that place, it is remote work. And then so doing work outside of the office, and mostly through online platforms. So with the advent of the internet, remote work then means that the internet plays a very important part in how people are able to do work outside of the office space. So remote work and then freelancing, what are the similarities or what are the differences? So first off, both of them, place of work is remote, so which means that you are not in a fixed office space. Okay, even though the freelancer might set up an office space within his home or wherever that the person feels comfortable, it might be a fixed place, but it is still remote in the sense that the services that you are offering, you are not sitting at the same desk with your client in your client's office or your client's place of work. So it is still remote work. In terms of employment status, a remote worker basically works for a company. So for example, we have Google that has about 120,000 remote workers, and these people are working full-time for Google. So remote workers are mostly full-time workers. Freelancers are people who are self-employed, and they don't have any contracts, any long-term contracts with their client. In terms of taxation, you might have remote workers. The company can probably would most likely withhold your taxes and pay all your taxes on your behalf. And then with a freelancer, you basically have to pay your own income tax. So whatever income that you earn, you would have to go and declare and pay that income tax. In terms of project duration, remote workers, they are normally on long-term projects because you sign long-term contracts with your worker, and mostly it is illegal to take on any other job with any other company because you are dedicated full-time to that one particular company that you are working for, because there are other benefits that they pay. As I said, your taxation is paid. They might provide other benefits like health insurance, pay for your vacations, and so many other benefits. For a freelancer, is basically short term, and nobody's paying you any benefits unless you've done a fantastic job and the client says, I'm giving you a bonus for this job that you've done. So basically, there's a difference between a remote worker and a freelance worker. But a freelance worker basically is a remote worker as well. So a remote freelancer is somebody that basically works online and works from anywhere that they feel more comfortable with. And a freelancer doesn't, and let's distinguish it between a remote freelancing and just a freelancing. You could be a freelancer that works, that freelances in your environment or in your community or in your country. So you probably might go around your city scouting for a job. Once you get the job, you come home and you do it. And it doesn't necessarily have to be through the internet. But when you are an online freelancer or a remote freelancer, it means your medium of work or communication is basically through the internet. If there are any questions, you can drop them along the way as we go. If I'm if I'm speaking too fast, you can also draw my attention so I can slow down a bit. So, but the question then might be, why should you go freelancing? Okay, and a whole couple of reasons why a lot of people consider freelancing. Because most people who want to branch out into their own and form their own companies mostly start out as freelancers. So you basically want to test out to see whether the service that you intend to offer, whether it is something that is in demand and people will actually pay you for. So before you branch out to start your own company, you may try to start as a freelancer first to basically proof of concept or to test out your product or service and your market to see if there's a market fit for your product before you go out. Also, the extra benefit is that, working from home has always been very appealing, which means that you don't have to wake up very early, you don't have to join traffic, and you basically don't have to go through all the stress that you need to go through in order to work at the office. So it's very appealing working from home because your break time, you can basically spend it with your family and the 30 minutes that you go on break, you can spend it with your kids, with your family. And when you come back from your break as a freelancer, you go back and lock yourself inside your office. It's all very appealing. And then obviously to obtain added income, which in this day and age, we know relying on one source of income, it's a very risky thing to do. So freelancing provides you the added ability to obtain extra income. And obviously to be your own boss, even though in reality, there's nothing like being your own boss, because even when you go freelancing, you do realize very quickly that your clients that you are working for are your bosses, and some of them can really be a pain in the backside. So even though you want to be your own boss, but in reality, we really never, become our own bosses. And then working on your own terms. Yes, you can work on your own terms, but then as you go in, you also realize the reality is that you also have to work on your clients' terms if you really want to if you want to keep long-term clients and be able to make a lot of money. So it's a case of compromise. So, but it also gives you the leeway to be able to set your own terms in terms of your working hours and how you schedule your break time and all that. So in terms of that flexibility, freelancing, offers all that. And of course, you get to make new connections and friends all over the world, because freelancing offers you the ability to connect with anyone across the world. So whether it's in Europe, it's in Asia, and it's in other parts of Africa, the world is basically global village. So you can connect with any other person. And through freelance work, some of your partners tend to even become your friends, and you go beyond work to share other things in common. So it is one of the very appealing things about being a freelancer. So a lot of people like to go because of these benefits. And then, so how big really is this freelance economy? So according to Forbes, the freelance economy is worth a whopping $1.2 billion. But what are the key drivers of this industry? Why are people spending so much money in the freelance economy? So number one, first of all, the internet has made it possible to connect with anyone in any part of the world, which means that if you require very specific skill sets, you can basically go online and search and you can get. people, and within the click of a button, you can hire people and employ them in as little as 1 day or even sometimes in a few hours. That's very appealing. And then remote tools have also made it very possible to collaborate with any part, with anyone in any part of the world. The tools are available and they are cheap, they are not expensive. And from communications to project management to storage to whatever you can think about, the tools are there and they are not that expensive. And that is one of the key drivers of this $1.2 trillion industry. And then the workflow. So whether you want to do e-invoicing, e-contracting, project management, as I stated earlier on, all these things are possible. So you don't need to be an accountant. There are invoicing softwares that you can use that can basically, depend on which country that you are from, all your taxes and everything can be automatically calculated for you. You can email these invoices to your client without having to sit down to, do any complex, accounting on your behalf, or even having any deep knowledge of accounting. The contracting softwares are there. There are platforms that you can use to do contracting and sign project contracts. And basically, things have become very easy. So based on these factors, the freelance economy took a boom and worth $1.2 billion. Why are companies hiring freelancers? So with all these key drivers that we just looked at, but we might look at why are businesses deciding to recruit freelancers instead of employing in-house or recruiting within their geographical space. And one of the obvious reasons is for cost reasons, especially in the very developed world. Before you employ full-time staff, okay, in the US, for example, you'd have to look at paying the person's pensions. You have to look at other benefits, health insurance. If you are relocating the person to another branch, especially for big multinationals or big companies, if you are relocating the person, you have to pay relocation allowance. You pay for, their spouse. If the person is married, you pay some allowances to their spouse and pensions and all this stuff. So it's a massive overhead. And also for the fact that even in the developed countries, there are salary skills. So for every skill set that you are employing, that business is employing, there is a minimum amount that you cannot pay below. So then there's a massive overhead. But with freelancing and with recruiting, remote workers, if you are recruiting a remote worker from Africa, or let's even say from India, all you have to do is just put the project requirement out and put in a budget. And mostly that probably could cut your cost to a fifth, or even in some cases, a tenth of the budget that you would have spent recruiting a full-time staff. So cost reasons is one of the key drivers. And secondly, there are certain skill set that recruiters might not get to employ within the spaces that they operate. So freelancing allow them, or remote working allows them to go to search the whole world to be able to recruit these skill sets. And then thirdly, companies also do get big projects once in a while, which does not warrant them employing full-time staff. So when they need to boost their labor force to be able to execute those contracts, then freelancing or remote contracting becomes an easy way for them to fill in those slots without having to bear the overhead after the project. Once the project ends, then they don't have any contracts with those remote workers. So those are some of the reasons why the freelance industry or the remote working industry has taken a boom. And who are the greatest beneficiaries? Which countries are benefiting more, considering that it's a $1.2 trillion industry? That's a lot of money changing hands between companies and individual contractors. But who are the greatest beneficiaries? Is Africa part of it? So the next slides will tell us which countries are benefiting more so before we look at which countries are the biggest beneficiaries, let's look at more statistics as to what percentage of hiring managers are employing freelance staff. So post-COVID, COVID actually came in, and then it had its advantages and disadvantages. But one of the key advantages is that companies were able to test out the remote working model, and they realized that it really worked very well for them, because as I indicated earlier on, the tools are there, internet speeds have increased over the past years, especially in developed countries like Africa and India and Pakistan and the Philippines. Internet speeds have gone up, the tools are there. We have skilled labor force. So hiring managers were put to the test during COVID, and they tested with remote working, and it took a boom. So 94% of hiring managers have hired remote workers since, and 56% of hiring managers say that remote work performed better than expected. And that's just for the simple reason that if you are a professional and you're a contractor and you're working remotely, there's more burden on you to prove yourself that you are disciplined and you can keep to timelines. So for those reasons, a lot of productivity actually took a boom, because you have to expeditiously use your time very well to tell your employer that you are really being useful, and the time that you are allocated, you can be trusted to use it very well. So if hiring managers are seeing 56% rise in productivity, why won't they increase, the number of, remote workers that they hire? It's just simple, common sense. So that is some of the reasons why the industry is seeing a boom. And then, so we look at the biggest winners in this freelance and remote work industry. So if we look at this general map, we can see at a glance which continents and which countries are the biggest winners in terms of remote work. So of the $1.2 trillion that is exchanging hands between contractors and also employers, we can clearly see that Africa and its twin brother, South America, are losing out a lot. And this is a great source of worry, because if you look at the forex crisis that we are facing as a country or even as a continent, okay, in Ghana alone, assuming we have, in India is estimated that they have about 50 million, freelancers or remote workers who are bringing in billions of dollars annually. So assuming that in Ghana alone, we had just 1 million freelancers or remote workers, and these people are bringing in an average of $500 a month. An average, considering the fact that if you take, professions like software development, developers earn as much as $1,000 per hour on very specialized contracts. So yeah, those are outliers anyway, but generally we have people earning anywhere between $10, anywhere between $10 to $20 for other types of jobs. But let's just assume that we have just 1 million freelancers or remote workers in Ghana, each is bringing in $500 a month. Okay, that makes it $500 million each month, isn't it? 1 million times 500, that's $500 each month, and within the course of a year, that's billions of dollars that's coming in. And basically, we don't need to export only agricultural products to be able to earn forex. So human resource, human capital, and that's why I think that whichever government comes, and this government should spend a lot of time thinking about how they can help young people to gain remote working skills that can allow them to bring in the necessary forex that the country needs. Because trust me, we have a lot of young people with the necessary skill sets who are able to deliver these services that these other people are delivering in any part of the world. So if we look at how fast the freelance industry is growing, in America, in the United States, we have a growth rate of 78%, and then followed by UK and Brazil. So you would see clearly Pakistan, the Philippines, and India and Bangladesh are cashing in heavily on this freelance industry. And as I said earlier on, we have millions of people in these countries that are bringing in the necessary forex into their various countries, and it's cutting down on the unemployment rate in these countries. So Africa as a whole has to really look at how we train our young people and whether we are investing in them and equipping them with the right knowledge to be able to participate in this $1.2 trillion industry. It's not good enough. And looking at the fact that if we have a very blank Africa here, it doesn't mean that we don't have freelancers in Africa. It just means that the numbers are very negligible. The numbers are just so negligible that we don't even make a dot. Okay, so that's why we are seeing it blank over here compared to the other countries that we are seeing in the map. So what are the top freelance jobs that we have, in the world globally? What are the top jobs that are growing that employers are looking for? So we are going to look at them. So this list is not exhaustive at all, but we are looking at the top ones that are currently in very high demand. And we will see copywriting jobs, web design jobs, digital marketing jobs. And that's just for the simple reason that since the dawn of social media, since social media came in the early 2000s and matured from 2010 onwards, and the social media sites have managed to find a way for businesses to be able to advertise to people, new jobs were created in terms of advertising and marketing, and even professionally managing these profiles. So we've seen a boom in how many people are getting employed to manage social media pages and to create digital marketing campaigns for businesses to be able to reach their clients. And along that is multimedia. So social media is driven by content, and most of this content is multimedia. So we have graphic design and video editing and data analytics, all of them coming in there. And then we have business consulting, we have programming, because businesses are building websites, and data analysts are needed to be able to analyze information and build cases for business people to be able to understand the data that's coming in. So accountants, virtual assistants have seen a boom because a lot of small businesses have gone online, and we have solo entrepreneurs who are also, some of them are other freelancers, and most of people are building one-man businesses. And we have agencies that are springing up, advertising agencies and business agencies, business coaches and consultants. And most of these are run by individuals, one-people businesses, and these people need assistance to be able to manage, their schedules and their time. So that has seen a boom in the number of virtual assistants that are in high demand. So I will look at a few of these in terms of the skill set that are required. So content writing is one of the most in-demand, skill sets. And I see this as very interesting because you don't need a very high level of skill set to be able to become a content writer. And I think that this is an area that a lot of people can leverage as long as you invest in your writing skills and you can write very good content. Okay, you'll be able to develop this skill set. So content writers are basically needed to write very informative and engaging articles. So we see all the business website that we see, product descriptions, email marketing campaigns, all the content that you see circulating on the internet, on social media is written by content writers. It's powered by content writers. And you don't need a degree or certificate. All you need to do is just learn and show clients that you can do this. So proof of work. So if you're a content writer, you might think about getting your own, blog where you can write your ideas. You can put forth your ideas so that people can see. If you're applying for a job, people can see what basically you have to offer. And a bit of the things that you need to understand is that you need to understand search engine optimization, because even though the internet is powered by content, there's just so much content. And search engines are run by algorithms that search all this content and decide which piece of content is more much. As people search for information, these search engines will use algorithms to decide which content is more relevant to the user that's doing the searching. So you need to understand how to use keywords and how to incorporate keywords into your content that will make this content come out in terms if somebody is searching for that content using specific keywords. So, and also you need to understand copywriting, how to arrange your content to be able to catch people's attention, how to drop the right hints and the right keys at specific places, how to grab people's attention. So that has to do with copywriting. You also have to understand consumer psychology, how is the typical consumer thinking? So if you are going to write a sales page for selling a product, for example, you have to have a little knowledge about consumer psychology. Why are people buying this stuff? What is their innate motivations? What is driving them to buy? So a bit of studying, a bit of reading around can get you to master all these things in no time. Video designer, graphic design and video editing is also one of the jobs in high demand, and especially for people who are able to create animations. So as a videographer or a graphic designer, you need to be able to create visual concepts using computer softwares. And in terms of graphic designing, there are also people that are able to, that there are also some clients, some people that are set for people that can draw in terms of artworks. So if you are an artist and you can use software to be able to draw, that is also another area you can cash in. But basically being able to use computer softwares to be able to bring creative ideas to life professionally. That's what you do. So as usual, as I said earlier, you don't need any degree or certificate to be able to participate as a videographer. All you know is proof. All you need is proof of your work to show the client that you can do what you say that you can do. And some of the key editing softwares you need to understand to be able to participate in this industry is you have to have a basic knowledge or understanding, or let me even say an advanced knowledge if you want to be a highly paid visual, video editor or graphic designer, how to use Premiere Pro, Adobe Photoshop, and other editing softwares. But for most of the freelance websites, most people need simple things like logo or just graphics for social media. So you might not need to have specialized knowledge in these advanced graphic design tools or video editing tools, but you can use drag and drop softwares like Canva, like Adobe Spark, and even currently we even have mobile phone softwares that allow you to be able to take videos or even take pictures and bring it together, drag and drop. You don't need any technical knowledge to be able to use this software. So if you have interest in this area, I will encourage you to explore all these softwares, play around with them, and then once you gain the competency, you can build a good portfolio and you can begin to bid for jobs on online freelance websites. Another one of the most hot in demand, skill set is virtual assistants. As I said earlier on, you are basically like a virtual secretary. So you need to have very good command of the English language, which is our lingua franca here. So you need to be able to speak very well and write very well. And you need to be very diligent, understand deadlines, be able to respond to emails and set schedules, receive phone calls. If you are in a space where you need to receive phone calls, it means you must be able to speak very well and not have a very heavy accent, so that because you'll be receiving calls from other parts of the world and attending to people. So you need to be able to speak legibly and clearly for people to understand you. No degree or certificate required, as I said. You just need to show proof of work. So doing a bit of reading around and basically understanding what the job requirements are is what you need to be able to participate. And you must learn also how to use remote working tools, because if you are scheduling appointments, most of these remote what do you call it, businesses or one-man businesses or entrepreneurs use specific tools. So you need to understand how to use these tools to be able to set the appointments and be able to send the emails, be able to use Excel sheet and all those software. So you need to investigate and understand most of the key softwares that you need to use. Later on in this presentation, we'll go through some of the softwares most of the popular softwares that you need to play around with and get competency with, so you'll be able to participate in this industry. And web designers are also in very high demand, because basically every business needs to have a presence, an online presence, and web designers are the people that make it happen. So if you are a web designer, your job, your skill set is one of the most in demand skill set that we have. If you go to most of the freelance websites, you realize that web development or web design is one of the most in demand, skill set that people come to request for. You don't need any degree or certificate. As usual, it's just basically interest. Once you have the interest and you decide to become a web developer, then you must learn specific programming languages to be able to use these to be able to develop websites. So programming languages such as JavaScript, Python, or SQL, and so many. There are new languages that come up every day. So you need to be updating yourself. But once you have these skill sets, you should be able you should be good to go and should be able to develop that competency. And as I said, depending on your experience, for web developers, it's possible to earn anywhere between $15 and $30 per hour or more on platforms like Upwork. So assuming you have a contract that probably requires you to spend 50 hours developing that website, just do the math, and that's just a lot of work. So there's a lot of work up there. So don't limit yourself to only your specific geographical location. There are a lot of works on this online freelance site that you participate in, and we'll look at that as we go ahead. So these are just a few, but there are a lot more. And all you need to do is just to do a bit of Google and do a bit of searching around. If you have interest in any of these skill set that you want to develop, all you need to do is just go to YouTube. YouTube is a university on its own. Anything that you want to learn, you can find it on YouTube. So as I said, you don't need to get any degree or certificate. Go to YouTube, practice, and you can develop competency in no time. So another thing you will look at is, before you become a freelancer, before you start your journey, what are some of the things to consider before you delve in? So number one, you must be somebody that's able to manage yourself, because quite frankly, freelancing is not as easy as it looks, because as we looked earlier on in this presentation, the reasons why you should become a freelancer, we said the ability to work from home and the ability to set your own agenda, but that comes with a lot of discipline. If you are not somebody that can manage yourself, unfortunately, you would not be able to excel, and you would not be able to get any contracts, because self-management is very important. You need to be able to set deadlines. You need to be able to show up when you need to show up, and you need to set your agenda and be able to follow through, because most people that will give you work will expect you to follow through at the time and the schedule that you give them. Secondly, you will need to develop your skill set, because there's a lot of competition out there. Trust me, all these guys from Pakistan, from India, from the Philippines, these guys are highly skilled. So if you are going to participate from Africa, and unfortunately, one of the things which unfortunately I have to talk about is the fact that people already write you down. Once they see that you are from Africa, they already write you down. Okay, so for you to be able to compete, you must be exceptional at what you do. Okay, so I cannot overemphasize it, because at the end of the day, it is your skill set that's going to differentiate you from other people. And if you are participating on platforms like Upwork or any of the other freelance platforms, once a client puts up a job description, sometimes you can even have as much as 100 people, bidding for that one job. So you really need to be exceptional. Your portfolio must be great for you to be able to get any job. So skill set, you have to be very good at what you do. Payment system, you have to establish how you are going to get paid. I can't also emphasize this enough, because if you don't establish how you are going to get paid, your client might be able to pay you, but how do you repatriate that money into your local bank account? So it's one of the things that you have to consider carefully. We'll come to that later on in this presentation. And the tools, you have to understand the tools that you would need to be able to participate in this $1.2 billion industry. Most of the employers that we have there, or most of the clients that you have coming in, there are already some tools that are popular out there. Some are very basic tools that almost everybody needs to understand how to use them. We'll look at them later on in this presentation as well. So you need to develop competency tools. So these are communication tools, these are collaboration tools, These are project management tools. You need to understand how to use at least the few popular ones that we have in the market. And portfolio. And I cannot also overemphasize the need to build a portfolio, because that is what the client or anybody that's going to employ you to do any remote job for them or to assign you to be a task for them, it is your portfolio that speaks to them. That's what they are going to look at the end of the day. So if you want to participate in or become a freelancer, begin to build up your portfolio. Even if you currently work for an employer now and you want to look at freelancing as a side gig or as another income source, you want to go into full time, your current job that you do. So if you are a graphic designer working for an agency, begin to build up your portfolio from that agency. If you are not a graphic designer and you have interest and you want to do it, begin to build your own projects and begin to execute and build a portfolio out of it. So you can give yourself work, give yourself challenging, design works and do this. You can do them for fun. You can do them for fun and build that portfolio, because that's what will talk to your client. That's what your client will use to evaluate your competency. And then your pricing. So pricing, normally the trick is that pricing is is such that you would have to be careful not to overprice or to underprice, because pricing boils down to your value. So if you are starting out as a freelancer, you could be starting out, but you are probably somebody that has 10 years experience in your field. In that case, you are bringing a wealth of knowledge into the freelancing world. If you can get testimonials from your existing clients, okay, let's say you work for an establishment, and through the establishment, a company, work with various clients in delivering specific skills or in delivering specific solutions. If you want to go into freelancing on the side, you can begin to write to these people and tell them they should give you recommendations on the work that you do. So any work that you deliver to a client, you can tell them to give you personal recommendations. Okay, and you can begin to build this up. So this can be, you can even go to LinkedIn and put these things there. But your pricing basically is tied to your experience and the value you are offering. So normally when you are starting out, you have to start out with a very competitive pricing. Otherwise, you won't get the work. So if you are bidding on freelance job site, for example, you can look through the average pricing. Most of them allow you to see the average pricing that other freelancers have bidden. So you can also put your pricing right below, right within the average that most people are bidding. Unless what you are delivering, the value that you are delivering is very specialized, and most people within those platforms do not have that skill set. In that case, your pricing can be above the rest of the people. But generally, as a rule of thumb, until you build a very great portfolio and build a lot of reviews, your pricing, you should consider placing your pricing within the average industry average that you do. If you do not know how to price, as I said, you can browse most of these freelance websites and even see some of their clients when they put up jobs, they put in how much they are willing to pay in terms of per hour, or if it's a fixed job, how much dollar value they are placing by that fixed work. So you can generally scan through and look at how and get an idea how much you should be pricing for your work. So we'll delve into the key remote working tools that you need to possess to be able to excel in this remote working field. So number one of the keys is communication tools. So number one is Microsoft Teams. A lot of people I know have used Microsoft products, so Word, Excel, PowerPoint, but Microsoft Teams is an online communication tool. So all the tools of Microsoft being brought together that allows you to collaborate with other things. And most Microsoft Team is mostly used by enterprise, companies that are very big, that have departments, that have teams, and are running multiple projects. So it allows you to be able to collaborate on projects, to have cross departmental communications, to be able to do group calls, do group chats, set projects, and be able to execute. So you need to understand how to use this Microsoft Teams project both on desktop. You can also download it on your mobile phone. There's a mobile version that allows you. So if you haven't used Microsoft Teams before, I will encourage you to download the software. There's a free version that you can use and you can play around with it, or you can go to YouTube and you can just, try to watch some few videos on the key features and how to use it. It's not a very difficult software to use, but Teams allows you to be able to use all the Microsoft, softwares, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and be able to collaborate. So people, if you have a project and you use the Microsoft Office software, other people, you are able to collaborate on that document. Other people can put in their comments, their suggestions. You can resolve issues. So basically, allows you to collaborate to do that. So you can even learn how to do that. Another one is Slack. Slack is very popular within the software, the startup environment. It's an advanced version of email, but then it's packed with features. So as I said, if you are running several departments or running multiple projects, Slack allows you to be able to create different channels to be able to communicate specifically to projects. And Slack also allows you to communicate across teams and be able to build communication channels and to be able to do video calls and basically do all the things that you cannot do on email. So Slack is like email and WhatsApp coming together, or email and Telegram coming together as one awesome platform. And it also allows you to integrate with other apps like your Google Drive or your project management softwares to be able to track, whatever you do. And Google Meet is also another free communication tools. You can have video calls with up to 100 people with the free version. But basically, most businesses, small businesses, like to use it because it's basically free software. Slack is also free, yeah, but Google Meet is also free, and you can have all the chats, all the video conference calls. So before you start a project, or even when you send proposals to a client and the client wants to meet you and have an interview, most likely the client will be meeting you over Google Meet or Zoom software. So Google Meet is also just like Zoom. I haven't added Zoom here because we are just looking at free, but Zoom is also one of them, and it works just like Google Meet. So those are these are 3 key communication platforms that you should have competency and at least you should try your hands with. And project management. So project management allows you to be able to collaborate on projects. So most likely, if you are a software developer and you are going on a project with a client, most likely you are going to be collaborating with other freelancers in other parts of the world. So these softwares allow you to be able to set tasks. So Trello is one of them. It allows you to be able to create tasks and assign these tasks to people. And you can basically assign deadlines to these tasks. And if somebody is slacking on a project, you can see from the dashboard. So once you complete a task, you can move it to do. You can move it to done. And you can basically have a project manager that can review all these things. And if you need to put the project back into production, you can move it from to do. So it has a very intuitive user interface that allows you to basically manage projects and assign tasks. Very easy to use. And if you don't already use Trello, as I said, there are free versions you can download on your mobile. You can download and you can connect this to Trello, to Slack, and you basically manage your project, your communication and your tasks seamlessly across. Another software which is mostly used, project management software, which also have free versions that you can use, and which most small businesses love to use, is Asana. It's a project management software, and it allows you to collaborate on projects. So basically, you can set up to-do lists. It allows you to set a Scrum Master. If you are running a project, a software development, for example, you can have a Scrum Master that sets projects and assigns tasks, and individual team members can be assigned to specific projects. So it also has an intuitive, interface, and you can also connect other communication software that allows you, to visualize projects. So if you set up a project and you set up key milestones, you can visualize those projects in a very, beautiful interface, and you can basically track the progress as you go along. Another one is Basecamp, which also is used for project management. It also allows you to set tasks much like Asana. So to be able to do group chats, you can set up to-do lists, and you can create so many projects, create boards, and you can move people within projects and boards, and you can basically visualize all the projects. You are running so many projects at the same time, and you need to assign tasks. These softwares allow you to be able to do that. So if you want to go into freelancing and you are a graphic designer, a video editor, or a developer, most importantly, you would realize that project management software, you need to get up to speed with these softwares to be able to excel in the field. And then, so storage software. So once you create documents and contracts and you deliver solutions, you need to upload this on the cloud and be able to share with your clients. So one of the most popular storage softwares that clients love to use is the Google Drive. And I'm sure most people, if you have a Google account or a Gmail, account, I'm sure automatically you have a Google Drive, and you probably are already using it because whatever, if you're using an Android phone, whatever photos you take, it will automatically back up to your Google Drive. So Google Drive allows you to create folders that you can share with clients and give specific permissions. So if you are a graphic designer, for example, and you are given a project to develop a number of graphic designs, so you can create a folder and put all those graphic designs there, and then you can share this folder with the client. So you don't need to individually email these artworks or whatever you produce to the client. That becomes very laborious. So it also allows you to be able to drop things, just get organized, drop things in one location, and the client can access them without telling you to email this, to email that. It makes managing of your documents very easy. Same with Dropbox, has the same features with as Google Drive, and it's also for storage. You can store files, you can share files, people, and basically allows you to collaborate on projects. And then Office 365. So Office 365 comes with a OneDrive storage that allows you, so all the Microsoft Word document, Excel, PowerPoint presentations that you probably will create, you can easily store them in the Office Drive. And I think once you sign up, you are given a certain amount of free storage to use. So once again, it allows you to store and collaborate and share files and folders with your client. So these are the key tools that you need to understand and that you should know how to use if you want to participate in the remote working and freelance industry. If you are a remote worker and you are signing up, and if you get employed by a client like Google, sorry, a big company like Google, and you sign exclusive contracts, be rest assured that if it's Google, you are going to use a lot of the Google Drive and the Google products. If you are working with Microsoft, for example, because all these companies employ remote workers, they recruit remote workers all across the world. So if you are going to work with Microsoft, be rest assured they are going to be using all of the Microsoft products, Word, Excel, OneDrive, Meet, and all those things. So make sure you understand how to use these tools very well. Portfolio management. So as I said earlier on, building a portfolio is one of the key things you need to be able to win jobs. Before your portfolio is what tells people that this is what I can do. This is what I've done before. So if you give me a project I'm going to deliver the same quality that I've done for other people. And you need to host your portfolio in a place that the clients can look through and be able to, see all your works at a go without you having to email them all around to the client. Or even when the client is doing due diligence about you, you can just send the link to your portfolio profile so that they can go in and look. Secondly, you don't need to build your own website. Previously, people would build a website, custom website, and put in all the portfolio there, which comes with added cost of buying a domain name, buying hosting, and basically maintaining this site. So you don't need to invest in building a website to host your portfolio. So LinkedIn is one of the places that you can use if you're a professional and you are not in the creative arts industry. You can use basically LinkedIn can be a place where you can set up your profile and you can set up all the things you've been able to do. And once a client has your profile, you can go in and see the clients you worked with, all the projects you've done. what skill set people are endorsing you for, to prove that what you said you are able to do, this is really you, and that's what you've done, and all the fantastic things that are there. So LinkedIn is one place that you can build your portfolio for free. If you are a creative person, whether you are a graphic designer or you are a web developer or a video editor, Behance is one of the places that you can build a very beautiful portfolio of all the fantastic works that you've done. So all the different projects. So you can upload all these works in there. So once the client goes in, they can see all your works at a go, all the beautiful things you do. So if it's videos, you can upload the videos, you can upload artworks, and the client can basically see it. Aside from the fact that your client can go in and see all these things, these platforms stand on their own. There are some employers or some clients that will just go straight to this place and search for skill sets. So if you've already built your profile there, it's also another key place that you can get discovered, and you've done a fantastic job. You can get discovered and you can really get jobs there. Personally, I've used Behance to search for graphic designers. And the good thing here is that you can state your location and where you are currently working from, and clients can filter and sort by location and by specific skill set. So if I need a graphic designer in Greater Accra, I can filter and narrow down to Greater Accra. So if you set up your profile and you indicate that you are in Greater Accra, once I filter, your name is likely to come up. When once you put in the keywords that I use to filter, your profile will come up. So you also have to understand how to incorporate keywords into your profile when you set up your portfolio. The third one is Drip, also for creative people. So if you're a creative person, another place you can build your profile, or even you can get inspiration. Sometimes you get certain types of contracts and you need inspiration. So you can go into these places and look at what other creative people have executed in the area that you want to, where you got the project. You can look at different industries and what other people are doing. So apart from building your portfolio here to show the world that you are capable of doing that, these are also places that you can get inspiration from. If you get specific projects and you are having a hard time coming up with concepts, you can basically come in here and browse and see what other people are doing, and you can get some creative inspiration to do the work. So in terms of tools, the remote working tools, so these are the key ones. There are so many other ones that are in there that you can explore, but these are the for each of the segments or each of the these are the key tools that most people use. So if you are also into sales or marketing, you realize there are other software that you need to understand, like Salesforce, like Pipedrive, that allows you to manage leads, manage your clients. So those are industry specific. So depending on the industry that you are, whether you are into sales, you are into accounting. If you are into accounting, there are specific accounting software that you need to understand how to use. So, but I'm not going to delve into those. So those are skill specific or industry specific. So you need to understand how to use those as well. And if you decide to become a freelancer, what are some of the things that you can do and some of the things you are not supposed to do? We are running out of time, so I'll just run through very quickly on these ones. So communication must be on point. If you can't communicate well, unfortunately, you won't be able to win any contracts, because time is money. So you can't use your African time to online. You need to be prompt. Keep client satisfaction priority. Look at satisfying clients. That should be your priority. Don't look at the money, even though money at the end of the day is what it is. Be very clear on your terms and conditions. Don't assume that the client knows. If you are setting up your contract, be very clear on your terms. If there are certain things that you would do and certain things you cannot do, specify them out for the client to know. Don't assume that the client should know. And you should be an honest and reliable person. You don't even need to be a freelancer to be honest and reliable, but you need to understand, you need to be. Most people think that because they are working online, they can do away with a lot of things. Unfortunately, freelance runs with recommendations and reviews. So if you don't do these things, you get very bad reviews. You can't get any work. And make sure after project completion, you request for testimonials, because reviews and testimonials are what you are going to use to convince new clients. In terms of don'ts, never miss deadlines. Very important. If you are saying you are going to do the work in 3 days, do it in 3 days. If you cannot do it in 3 days, make sure you reach out to the client and tell them that you cannot do it in 3 days. Tardiness, your communication must be on point. Don't get you get a message from client and it takes you 3 hours or 1 full day to respond. No. As much as possible, respond on time. If they send you, a client send you a message, the response must be rapid, immediate. Don't make money your priority, even though we are all in to make money, but just don't make it obvious. Don't keep reminding the client every time you send them a message, my money, my money. No, don't make money your priority. And don't be vague. Always be very specific on what you are delivering and what you are not delivering. And don't overpromise, because if you overpromise, you cannot, it's better to underpromise and overwhelm the client than to overpromise and keep their hopes high and under deliver. Very important. And then what clients look out for. So in the online world, clients are looking for people who are very reliable, okay? People who do quality work, that's where your portfolio comes in. People who are affordable. Remember, people are recruiting online because they think that they will get value for money. So unless you have a specific set of skill that is highly desirable, that people are chasing after, that you can charge beyond the roof, at all times, avoid the temptation to be overly expensive, because volumes are what counts in freelance work. Volumes is what gives you the money. Be very clear in your communications, okay? If you are writing an email, be very clear in what you say so that the client understands what you are offering, what you are delivering. Make sure that you develop a good work history. Imagine if you don't do all these things that I specified in the do's, okay, you are not going to get very good reviews. And remember, reviews are what you are going to use to build on, to be able to build a very good, work history, to be able to showcase other clients that you are doing a good job. In the online world, apart from 5-star reviews, nothing else is good. So if you have 10 5-star reviews and you get one star review, that can drag down the average of the reviews to around 4. And online where 4-star review is not good enough. People are looking for 5-star reviews. Make sure you're able to meet deadlines. If for any reason you cannot meet deadlines, communication, make sure your communication is on point. And at all times, sometimes working alone can be very challenging, especially when you don't have anybody to talk to and you are doing work alone as a freelancer. So you must be a self-motivated person. The client wants people who are self-motivated and don't need other people patting their backs before they are able to do the work that they are supposed to do. So you must be a very self-motivated person. So every client wants to start. So before you get a job, it starts with setting, a proposal, be able to send a very good proposal. So before you send a proposal, you must understand the requirements of the proposal. This is very important, because if you send any proposal that doesn't meet the requirement, they won't even look at it. And you must address every single requirement in the proposal. You must be able to sell your soft skills. I can't emphasize this enough, because beyond having the technical competency, the clients are also people that are human, and they want to be dealing with human beings, people who have empathy, people who understand, who have the human skills, the soft skills, that can communicate very well and understand problems and bring solutions from a human point of view. Okay, so be able to sell your soft skills very well. So if you are somebody that has empathy, if you are somebody that understands people, make sure you specify this in the proposals and let them know the benefit that they get from your solution. Don't just state that you can do the work, but let them know how is your solution going to benefit them. And your fees must correlate with the solution that you are offering. So don't just quote fees that are outrageous. So your fees must tie into the solution that you are offering. So if it's possible, lay down the solutions or your services that you are going to offer, the solution, and tie them to the fees that you are charging. And then, of course, at the end of it, you have to have your skills and portfolio tied into a proposal. Okay, so if you are bidding on freelance website, for example, which is very competitive, so understand that you don't have to bid on every project, because most of them even give you a certain number of bid points that you can use. So if you are given 20 bid points and you are bidding on every project, you exhaust them in no time and you realize that you bidded on projects that you probably shouldn't. So don't bid on every project. Understand the requirements, very important. Avoid templated proposals. Don't be doing copy and paste. Every proposal must be custom made. I know there's a temptation to always do templated design because sometimes it just gets very, difficult, but avoid that. Every proposal has to be custom made. Define a reasonable time frame for start and end. So don't overpromise that you can deliver in 2 days when in reality you need 5 days. Don't overpromise. Compare other bid amounts and bid reasonably. So if you are bidding, compare what other people are bidding. So if everybody is bidding $10 an hour, don't go and bid $50 an hour. There's no way. Clients are looking for value for money. And also check the client history as well. There are some clients that are notorious for giving, being problem clients. So before you also bid, in as much as the client will also look on your history and your reviews, also review the client and understand, is this somebody that I really want to work with? Look at what other freelancers, what kind of reviews they've also given on the client, and if that's a client that you want to work with, because the reviews that you get at the end of the day are what is going to give you a very good rating to be able to win contracts. And then always proofread or prefer to make sure that you're not making very basic errors in your presentation, grammatical errors, especially if you're a content writer and you send a proposal full of grammatical errors and incomplete sentences. There's no way you're going to win any contracts. So to start your freelance career, what are some of the best websites? There are dozens of websites that you can get job, but I would recommend these 5 for you. So we have FlexJob. FlexJob, you can get any kind of job in there. Freelancer, you can get any kind of job, whether it's content writing, website development, video editing, anything at all. You can get work there. Upwork has very stringent requirements. So if you are signing up, there's a possibility that they could even reject your application because depending on which skill sets that service you want to sell, they have quotas for each of them, the skill sets that they have, because they don't want to make their platform look too clumsy, and they want people to get reasonable amount of work in there. So because of that, they set up quotas for skill sets. So it's possible that you might be applying, but if you don't get Upwork because of their stringent requirements, these other ones you can apply. Solid Gigs is a paid platform, unfortunately. But the good thing with Solid Gigs is that if you're a freelancer that's already making money, you can consider enrolling in there because you pay a monthly amount, and what they do is that the platform, they look for clients and pay them to you. So instead of you going out chasing for clients, they bring clients to you. So it's a place that you can really get a good amount of work. But they charge, I think their basic package is about $20 a month. So you should have already been making some money before you go to invest in a platform like that. Fiverr is a place you can sell anything for $5. $5 looks like small money, but if you look at the volumes that you do in Fiverr, it adds up. And it doesn't mean that you can charge only $5. You can charge more than $5. But basically, it got its name from the fact that it started with $5 packages. So you can sign up on these platforms. And lastly, the last thing we will look at, payments. What payment options are available? So once you begin to work with a client, so if it's not on freelance platforms, most of these people don't know Momo. They don't know what they call mobile money. So don't go on your freelance career thinking that your Momo is going to work for you. So understand that you need to have a payment structure in place. So PayPal currently doesn't work in Ghana. So if you're in Ghana, you wouldn't be able to use PayPal. So, but if you're in Nigeria, you're in Gambia, you're in Kenya, you can consider setting up PayPal. Most of these freelance websites take PayPal. Payoneer works globally. It's great. I personally used it. They allow you to be able to get paid on their platform. So you can set up your local bank account. So once you get paid, you can wire it to your local bank account, or they give you a card, a debit card, so a MasterCard, which you can, once they pay you and you move the money to your card, you can go to the ATM and you can withdraw your money. So that makes it very convenient. Western Union money transfer, if you are dealing with independent contractors, you can use Western Union, or your client can do direct wire transfer to your bank account. So that's basically about it. Yeah,
Okay,
so I will end my presentation.
Yes, can you run through? Is that okay? That's the end. Thank you very much. And I think that we have run over time, and we would bring the presentation to an end. Just one question, and then we are done. And so,
Okay.
how can we determine our value? You know, somebody mentioned we can price, overprice, and underprice. How can we determine our value? And then please, we would send other questions. If you have other questions, we'll pick it up and answer it another time. Yes, please go ahead and answer.
Okay, so it depends on the freelance industry. Remember, it's always about value for money for the client. So how you price, number one, depend on the industry that you are or the specific skill set that you are offering. So there are certain skill sets that are highly specialized. Okay, so if you are in that small percentage of people who are in that specialized skill set, even there's a possibility that if you mention a certain amount, clients will even doubt your ability to be able to offer the service. So number one, you have to understand the industry you are coming from. Secondly, you also have to understand the amount of service industry experience that you have and the portfolio that you build. If you build a very impressive portfolio and you look through and you understand that this is the real value of what I'm going to deliver, remember the clients already understand, they know the value of what they're asking for. So if you go and quote a certain amount that's worth that value, okay, and the client looks at your portfolio and understand, especially in your proposal, if you specify what exactly you are going to do differently from other people that is going to deliver that exact value, and the client sees that. Remember, there are also some clients that they tie value to how much the freelancer is charging. There are some clients that if you charge more, there's a likelihood that they might even pick up your proposal because they feel that value is tied. So it depends. So there's no one answer for this. So you just have to evaluate yourself, evaluate your skill set, evaluate the industry you are in, evaluate the competition. As I said, if you have built a massive portfolio over time on this freelance website, let's say you have over 100 5-star reviews, you can set up your price point at a very high level, and that puts you at a level that any other clients coming in even understand this is your value.
Okay, thank you very much, Billings. It's been an awesome and a wonderful session. Personally, I've learned a lot during the session, and I hope you have too as well. I see a lot of questions for people, but time is we are almost over time. We are actually over time. And so we'll end it here. We'll pick up your question and do it another time. Before ending the session, I want you to know about the eLibrary USA. It is a state-of-the-art digital library, premium electronic database that includes so many other things: digital newspapers, magazines, journals, videos, dissertations. Please kindly reach out to American Corner Agbogba and American Center at the U.S. Embassy to know more about the eLibrary USA. This resource is always available for you to use. And this program was brought to you by the U.S. Embassy, American Corner Agbogba, in partnership with Mobile Web Ghana. And that concludes our session for today. Please follow us on YouTube at U.S. Embassy Ghana for more amazing virtual program. Thank you for joining today, and I hope you've learned a lot of things. Always be safe, stay safe, and observe all protocols. Thank you very much. And that ends our session for today. My name is Florence.